give me an email ring at music@ljdnshow.com. All right, so let's go get on to something a little bit lighter because I tell you, last thing I'm going to say is this, if the restaurants have to put up a gun detector, metal detector for when people come in, that's going to really affect the price of our meals. I'm not going to like that because I'm not going to be able to get what I want because the price is going to be too much. Come on. Okay. So we talked about what autism is. I talked about it briefly. It's a mental condition. Excuse me. So what are the difference? And we have a good TEDx talk coming up with Vicky Shanks. She's going to talk about how her kids all had autism, all have it, except for one. And wow, I mean, the woman looks good. Really, to have that many kids with autism. I just see what my one sister goes through. Okay, so the symptoms of it that it goes in stages. There's a whole bunch that has a lot to do with it. It starts with the language impairment. If your kid is at least two, I've seen some 2-year-olds that talk, can hold conversation at 2, and I've seen some that's not, that they shy away and stuff like that. So that's one of the symptoms. Social deficient. They're socially deficient when it comes to with other people, other kids. Repetitive behavior, sleep defects, sleep disorders, mood disorders. I've seen that. Anxiety disorders. I saw that in there. I'm like, I don't have that. I don't have autism. I have anxiety, but OCD, attention, ADD, hyperactivity, immune deficiency, GI disorders. It says while autism is usually a long life condition, all children and adults benefit from interventions or therapies that can reduce symptoms and increase skills and abilities. Although the best to begin intervention as soon as possible. The benefits of therapy can continue through life. Now, we have a lot of people on Social Security that are because of their kids having autism, and that's kind of going to mess up for older people, for senior citizens. Come on, I'm moving in that direction here. I want to be able to. I want to be able to have my Social Security. I mean, I feel for the kid with autism, but I just think the parents need to work double hard to make the money that's needed for the extra therapy because, wow, it's just being taken away. My husband was telling me how he went to the Social Security department for his father before he passed away. And he said all types of people are down there. It don't make any sense. It's like, goodness gracious. I mean, I can understand really severe case, but some people, they just haven't used the system. They use the system. So that's a different show. Okay, so let's see. So what I wanted to know was, what is the difference? What is the difference between autism and it said mentally retarded patients, okay? But in the article, it straightens that up, okay? So here's one from Quora. I kind of like them. I kind of like their little answers and things that they say. And this one is from Abhanev Sharma. And it says, already has been pointed out, that medical retardation is a term that's been replaced by intellectual disability. So remember, don't say retarded, say intellectual disability. The reason varies with a perception, but not much. Intellectual disability in layman's term would specify below average intelligence. Mental retardation or intellectual disability, by the way, is not a diagnosis used much by the medical professionals anymore. The tests now vary with age, group, and hits. Each test has their own problems. Someone who has an intellectual disability will have trouble learning and functioning in everyday life. The person could be 10 years old, but might not talk or write as well as a typical 10-year-old. He or she is usually slower to learn other skills like how to get dressed or how to act around other people, but having an intellectual disability doesn't mean the person can't learn. Ask anyone who knows and loves a person that has an intellectual disability. Some kids with Down syndrome or cerebral palsy can be described as having intellectual disability, yet they often have great capacity to learn and become quite capable kids. Now, coming to the point of autism. Autism is a lifelong development disability that affects how a person communicates with, relates to other people. It also affects how they make sense of the world around them. In a spectrum condition, which means that while all people with autism share certain difficulties, their condition will affect them in many ways. Some people with autism are able to live relatively independent lives, but others may have accompanying learning disability and need a lifetime of special support. People with autism may also experience over and under sensitivity to sounds, taste, smells, and light colors. Asperger's syndrome is a form of autism. People with Asperger's syndrome are often of average or above average intelligence. They have fewer problems with speech, but they still have difficulties with understanding and processing language. The difference lies in the fact that autism affected people tend to interpret the world around them in a somewhat different manner than usual, while people experiencing intellectual disability have a slower grasp of convention. So that is the difference between the intellectual disability and the autism. Autism more deals with communication. That's what it seems to me. So that's a good sign to look out for if if you feel that your child or you know someone whose child may be having difficulty communicating with people. So it kind of makes me wonder, people say they're loners. You think it applies to loners? Or loners are just in the class all by themselves. And don't get me wrong, when I laugh, I'm not laughing at the disease. Some people take things so seriously. But that's not why I'm laughing. I'm just laughing because they have problems with communicating with people. And people, loners, they don't have problems communicating with people. They just want to be left alone, right? So now it's a difference. There also is a difference between, I also wanted to know what's the difference between autism and Down syndrome. Besides, most kids with Down syndrome, you can see it. Most kids with autism, you may not be able to see it. You don't usually. Okay, this one comes from the same person, the same website, Quora. Okay, this comes from Jaffer Elik. As mentioned in previous answers, probably the most obvious difference between an individual with autism and one with Down syndrome is the fact that Down syndrome has physical characteristics, unlike autism. Down syndrome is a genetic condition, and an individual with the Down syndrome looks special, having a special facial profile and beautiful almond-shaped eyes from others. It is caused by the presence of all or part of a third copy of chromosome 21 also. These individuals may show impulsiveness, sensory issues, aggression, just like in autism. Unlike autism, Down syndrome can be identified during pregnancy by prenatal screening, followed by a diagnostic testing, or after birth by direct observation and genetic testing. Also, individuals with Down syndrome require proper health care because they are at increased health for obesity as they age, as well as the risk for various physical injuries, epileptic seizures, vision, and hearing problems. Autism, this is from Gyra's view. On the other hand, it's a neurological condition, and it does not affect how individual looks like. Parents usually notice signs in the first 2 or 3 years of the child's life. An individual with autism has learning difficulty, lack social skills. They often avoid eye contact and do not respond to words or sounds and can be distressed by minor change in their daily routines because this may show repetitive by following the same routine. Dr. Sharon says sometimes the characteristics of Down syndrome and autism can be blurred. That is because certain percentage of people with Down syndrome also have autism. Although symptoms may be less with age, autism and Down syndrome are lifelong conditions, and she believes effective intervention therapies are the most important factors that can really improve the quality of life for these individual families. And that is the difference between Down syndrome and autism. Down syndrome, you may have more facial profile characteristics like the almond-shaped eyes, and it's something that can be detected while it's in the wound. It can be detected then, as opposed to autism. At least they haven't gotten that advanced in modern medicine yet that they can predict that. Okay, we're going to go back here, some more music from Joe Sims and the Loving Kind. I'm going to play a new one called Fine Line. So we're going to hear that one, and then we're going to go to our TEDx Talks for this evening with Vicky Shanks. I'll be right back. Stay with me, okay?
At the door, you're talking in your sleep. They're the kind that I don't want to meet. Hearts racing, we're living a lie. You tell me not to worry, and everything will keep. Things are piling up, I'm in the deep. Dog lazy, stop telling me lies. Conversation, standing on the street, everybody